Shalom, 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 Israel. This is Captain Paul Israel from Kingdom Builders of Israel, LLC. And today's class topic is going to be on celebrating baby showers is idolatry. Again, Israel, today's class topic is going to be on celebrating baby showers is idolatry. Okay, Israel, today is going to be a good lesson to discuss due to the fact that many of our sisters who are the Hebrew women, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native American women of the nation of Israel, who are the Hebrew Israelites, are practicing baby showers as far as a celebration. But it goes back into idolatry. So the Hebrew sisters, who are the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian sisters of today, they don't understand that celebrating baby showers is idolatry. Okay, it is basically an idolatry custom, okay, that the other nations practice, okay, currently, and also they practice baby showers in past history. Okay, so the other nations form the understanding of practicing baby showers. So this is a custom that, of course, in general, in today's time, that the modern black, Hispanic, Native Indian women of today, they're practicing a heathen or a other nation's customs. They're practicing a heathen custom or the other nation's custom or heritage. But this is not a Hebrew Israelite heritage to practice baby showers. Okay, baby showers is a sin, and it is an idolatry practice that the children of Israel are not supposed to do. Okay, so this is why I'm doing this lesson, Israel, to explain on why celebrating baby showers is idolatry. Okay, Israel, so let's get into this lesson. Okay, let's get into this lesson, Israel. Okay, so as you can see, celebrating baby showers is idolatry is the title. As you can see, we have a sister over here that's doing a baby shower gathering understanding over here. And over here we have the celebrity named Cardi B and also another celebrity named Offset. Okay, so they are doing, in this particular picture, a baby shower. Okay, so I'm just showing that the Hebrew people of the nation of Israel, they are conducting an idolatry practice. Okay, from the celebrity standpoint, and also just your regular individuals of the nation of Israel are practicing this idolatry custom. Okay, that's not permitted under the laws of Moses to do. Okay, so we're going to go into the history of baby showers. Okay, so Israel, get out your pen and notepad on this particular lesson, Israel. So we're going to get into the origin of the starting point of the modern day baby showers understanding. And then we're going to go to the ancient understanding of where the baby showers concept came from. Okay, so it says baby showers origin. Okay, as you can see, this is a picture of somewhat of a time past event, okay, when baby showers was being conducted. Okay, it says the modern baby showers originated during the 1950s baby boom in the USA. The purpose of the celebration was, and still is, to give the mother to be much needed baby items. The name baby shower comes from showering the mother with gifts and love. Okay, Israel, you see this? You see this, Israel? It says the name baby shower comes from showering the mother with gifts and love. So I want you to just keep on this point right here, taking notice of what this statement is saying. Okay. And also, of course, baby showers, it says originated during the 1950s, but it's talking about the more modern day baby showers of today. And of course, it's been primarily pushed in the United States of America. Okay. It says the purpose of the celebration was, and still is, to give the mother to be much needed baby items. So that is the blind eye concept of, based upon baby shower, we're going to give gifts for the baby. Okay, but the whole notion is giving the gifts and paying honor to the mother. That's why it says the name baby shower comes from showering the mother with gifts and love. Okay, but the whole notion of giving gifts to the baby is just a cover up of deception, because the focus is the mother. Okay, when these baby showers is being conducted as a form, of course, of worshiping the mother understanding, which we're going to get the history of where the baby shower concept comes from. Okay, it says baby shower's origin. Okay, so this is the more ancient origin of baby showers and where it derives from. Okay, it says El Sibo, or the first week celebration of the child's birth, is a common tradition in Egyptian society. So it was known to be a celebration, a part of the Egyptian society when, of course, the baby was born. Of course, it says the El Sibo. So that was the ancient name for baby shower understanding. Okay, it was supposed to be the first week celebration of the child's birth. So the Egyptians celebrated a child's birth when the child was already born for at least those 7 days. So that's why it says the first week celebration understanding. Okay, and it says the word for that particular celebration was called El Sibo. Okay, it was called El Sibo, or the first week celebration of the child's birth. So this was the ancient name for baby showers back then. Okay, it was called El Sibo. Instead of saying baby shower, it was called El Sibo, which is the first week celebration of the child's birth. Okay, it said is a common tradition in Egyptian society. So basically, baby showers origin goes back to Egypt. Okay, it says also referred to by the name Sibo, also referred to by the name the Sibo, literally the 7th day in Arabic. So another name that the baby shower goes back to is called the Sibo, but the Sibo goes back to the Arabic name, because we know in modern day times the Arab nation is copying the ancient black Egyptians understanding. Okay, so the Arab nation of today has adapted or adopted the custom of El Sibo that was initially started by the black Egyptians. So the Arab nation is over there in Egypt right now, and they are practicing the same custom that was initially called El Sibo, but now they put the other term to it called the Sibo. Okay, it's meaning the same thing, where they celebrate a child's birth after 7 days it was born, and they refer to as it being the Sibo, literally the 7th day in Arabic. Okay, so again, you have the Arab nation who are in Egypt right now practicing the same custom that the black Egyptians did in ancient times. Okay, it says because we know in general the ancient Egyptians who were black, they are no longer primarily in Egypt no more. Okay, they've been dispersed amongst the whole continent of Africa. Okay, and also they've been dispersed in European countries as well due to migration and so forth. Okay, also it says the tradition was inherited from ancient Egyptians, as celebrating newborns first originated in their society. So you see that? So the celebration of newborns was first celebrated in Egypt. Okay, it says the tradition was inherited from ancient Egyptians, as celebrating newborns first originated in their society. The reason behind choosing the 7th day has to do with their beliefs that the child begins to cultivate the sense of hearing on the 7th day after his or her birth. So you see that? So the Egyptians came up with the concept of celebrating, of course, a child's birth based upon them being celebrated on the 7th day analogy, on the belief that children can hear by the time it gets to the 7th day that the children are born on earth. Okay, so they went off that concept, and this is why they formed the word El Sibo. Okay, but initially baby showers, or the El Sibo, or in modern day times is known as the Sibo, in modern day times in Egypt by the Arab nation, but in America they call it baby showers. Okay, but in general, the Egyptians celebrated a child's birth when the child was on earth for those 7 days, because they wanted to wait to the 7th day, because they believed the child's sense of hearing and comprehension skills improved by the 7th day that they've been on earth. The Egyptians believed that on the 7 days that the child was born on earth, or the child was living on earth, that they could be able to comprehend or hear what's going on the earth. Okay, this is why they did it on the 7th day, understanding. Okay, the Egyptians did something that, of course, is not biblical. Okay, so it says baby showers worship Egyptian goddess Isis. They keep it simple. Baby showers worship Egyptian goddess Isis. Okay, Isis was a god deity or a goddess deity that was worshipped in Egypt. As you can see, this is the image of the black image of Isis, which is a woman, okay, with a female deity that was supposed to be a god or a goddess, understanding. As you can see, they have the crown over the woman. They put the wings behind the woman, right? And she has like a superiority spirit or image in this understanding right here. Then, as you can see in the picture, this is somewhat of a picture that they have in Egypt of the picture of Isis being referred to as a god. Okay, so this is what the Egyptians used to worship in ancient times. Okay, as you can see, the title says baby showers worship Egyptian goddess Isis. So this is just the imagery that you see right here. So you see an imagery right here as well of Isis with the wings, and notice that Isis is portrayed as a black woman, okay, dark skin. Okay, this is what imagery that the Egyptians used to have, at the time when the Egyptians was ruling, paying homage to the idol god Isis. And as you can see, you have Isis sitting down in this particular chair like she's sitting on a throne, okay, like superiority, right? And then she has a crown on her head in this image right here, and then have, of course, the wings on the back. Okay, so this is what the Egyptians used to do to worship a deity known as Isis, and an Egyptian goddess. Okay, watch the reason why I'm showing you these pictures, because you're gonna see the similarities on what this goddess Isis has to do with baby showers. Okay, I'm gonna break it down. Okay, I'm gonna break it down. Baby showers worship Egyptian goddess Isis. So this is again the same title that we read on those 2 previous slides. It says Isis' name means queen of the throne. You see this, Israel? It says Isis' name means queen of the throne. So you see this? This is why they have an image of Isis sitting on the throne. Okay? So you have Isis' name means queen of the throne. And then it says Isis was a mother goddess. You see this, Israel? It says Isis was a mother goddess. Mother goddess. So these are the key terms you want to pay attention to when we get into this baby shower breakdown, understanding, okay, on how it pertains to idolatry. Okay, it says the Egyptian goddess Isis was a virgin deity, but she was able to magically conceive a son named Horus. It says making her a mother goddess. Christianity uses this Isis story for the white Virgin Mary story, which is not biblical. So the Egyptian goddess Isis comes from the concept of the understanding of similarity from the white Virgin Mary in Christianity understanding. So the Egyptian deity was a virgin. And when you go to the white Virgin Mary story, they have similarities going back to the Isis story. Okay? But again, the white Virgin Mary story is not biblical. Okay? Christianity knows how to take Egyptian customs and put it into a Christianity faith-based understanding. Okay? But again, the Bible has nothing to do with Egyptology wickedness. Okay, the Bible is a righteous book. Okay, but the pagans have formed Christianity and mimic, of course, the Egyptian custom understanding. And so it says Isis, revered as the Egyptian goddess of love, healing, fertility, magic, and the moon, held immense significance in ancient Egyptian religious beliefs, known by various names including Aset or Iset. She was the most worshipped deity throughout Egyptian culture, even during the Greek rule of ancient Egypt. So you see this, Israel? It says Isis, revered as the Egyptian goddess of love, okay? Or it says healing. So the Egyptian goddess Isis had to pertain to the goddess of love, the goddess of healing, the goddess of fertility. See this? Fertility, meaning birthing children. So when you go to the baby shower analogy, you're going to see the connection, okay? You're going to see the connection on baby showers being connected to the Isis form of worshiping, understanding. Because Isis goes back to the fertility goddess. Then it says magic and the moon, because Isis goes back to the worshiping of the moon concept, okay? It says held immense significance in ancient Egyptian religious beliefs. Okay, so this was the Egyptian religious belief understanding that Isis was a goddess of love, healing, fertility, magic, and the god of the moon, okay, and held immense significance in ancient times with the Egyptians, okay. And also Isis is a Greek name, okay. Isis is a Greek name, but initially, of course, in general, in ancient Egypt, the Isis character had a name called Aset or Iset, okay. Aset or Iset was the ancient Egyptian name of Isis, okay. And it says she was the most worshipped deity throughout Egyptian culture. So Egypt worshiped Isis or worshiped Aset or Iset more than any other deity throughout the Egyptian culture, because in general, the Egyptians had many different gods in Egypt that they worship. But Isis or Aset or Iset, right, meaning the same person understanding as Isis, they worship her more than any other deity in Egypt. It says even during the Greek rule of ancient Egypt, because the Greeks took over Egypt, okay, when the Greeks was ruling. So when the Greeks took over Egypt, they removed the Aset or Iset name of that female deity, right, the Egyptian deity. They removed that understanding of Aset or Iset and replaced those names unto being Isis, okay. They replaced the Aset or Iset, that was the Egyptian name, and formed it to be Isis, the Greek name, okay. So the Greeks ruled Egypt at one point in time when they had dominance in the world. Okay, it says baby showers worship the mothers in place of Isis. So that's the connection where I wanted to get it at, right? It says baby showers worship the mothers in place of Isis. Also, the women in general from all races that do baby showers are basically being worshipped as a form of a deity similar to Isis, okay. This is why during baby showers you have the females, right, sitting on a chair like they're sitting on a throne, as you can see in this picture right here. You have Cardi B sitting in a chair like she's sitting on a throne. Then you have her husband Offset coming over there honoring her as far as a form of worshiping, okay, form of worshiping his wife. Same thing goes on this picture right here where you see a female sitting in the chair and you have her guy over here sitting in the chair with her, acknowledging her presence. So baby showers worship the mothers in place of Isis, okay. So as you see, we go back, right, baby showers worship the Egyptian goddess Isis understanding. The key notes I wanted you to get out of this understanding, it says Isis' name means queen of the throne. You see this? Isis' name means queen of the throne. So this is why during baby showers, our sisters are sitting in a chair that's somewhat like a throne, okay? Similarities. Yeah, and then also it says Isis was a mother goddess, mother goddess. You see this, Israel? So Isis was a mother goddess, right? So when you say baby showers, where you give gifts to the mother, so you're basically paying homage to the mother as a form of worshiping, because Isis is a mother goddess. So the mothers are in place of Isis, okay, in modern day times. So the Black, Hispanic, Native Indian women are put in place and position as being an actual deity to be in worship in place of Isis. Okay? It's basically like trading places. Ancient Egypt, they worship Isis, okay? Or ancient Egypt, they worship Aset Iset, which goes back to Isis understanding. In modern day times, now it's a form of worshiping mothers, okay? That's the similarities. This is why they have the imagery of these sisters sitting on a chair or a throne-like position on these chairs. And the men are in formation of worshiping their wives, okay? As you can see, the similarities. The Isis picture, right? You see Isis character sitting on a throne. Then you see in this picture over here to the left, you see our Hebrew sisters, or sisters in general, or women in general, being worshipped. Okay? The women putting the crowns on their head, right? Being acknowledged by everybody, right? It's a form of worshiping. You see this picture of the Isis understanding? The crown on Isis' head with the moon in the background, because Isis goes back to being the goddess of the moon goddess understanding. So now you go over here during the baby shower, you see now the mother of the Black and Hispanic Native Indian women understanding. Now you see the mother, right, have a crown on her. Now you see the mother have a crown on her head, similar to you see Isis imagery over here. So you see the similarities. It all go back to worshiping the mothers, but in ancient times it goes back to worshiping Isis. Okay. As you can see, the crown on our sister's head being sitting on a throne-like chair. Same equivalent over here with Isis. That's why I titled it Baby Showers Worship the Mothers in Place of Isis. So instead of our people primarily worshiping Isis, they're actually worshiping the mothers, right? The women, right? Who's bearing the child. Okay? But it all go back to this understanding, because initially this is a idolatry custom of the worshiping of Isis. Okay? As you can see this picture, the gifts that people give go to the mother. It's the focus is the mother. The child concept is the cover up. The acknowledgement of baby showers is giving gifts and praising the mother. Okay? Same thing in ancient times, they gave praises unto Isis during the ancient baby showers understanding, which was called the El Sibo. Okay? So now we got the understanding. Okay? Now we got the understanding, Israel. So now we got the understanding of the similarities, but we're going to break it down how it relates in ancient time. The baby showers relates to idolatry custom. But first we're going to go to the book of Exodus chapter 20 verse 3 to get the commandment or the law why it is not permitted unto us to worship other gods. Exodus chapter 20 verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. So again, Israel, we're not supposed to have no other gods before the Most High Yah. So we're not supposed to be worshiping no gods that's associated to these religions, and no gods associated to these pagan customs, and no gods that's associated to these idolatry practices, okay, that the other nations have been doing throughout the earth. We're not supposed to follow those practices as Hebrew Israelites. Okay, so this is the first commandment understanding. Thou shalt have no other gods before the Most High Yah. Okay, so now we're going to go to Wikipedia. Then we're going to go to the Wikipedia understanding to prove that baby showers come from Egypt understanding. So we got the understanding from the PowerPoint slide. This is Wikipedia, and you can look this up easily yourself. And this is going into the baby shower understanding on Wikipedia. It says a baby shower originated in ancient Egypt to celebrate the miracle of a new life about to be born into this world. Okay. And it says nowadays it is more of a party of gift giving to celebrate the delivery or expected birth of a child or the transformation of a woman into a mother. Okay, you see this? It's a celebration from the transformation from a woman into being a mother. So this is all part of worshiping the mother. Okay, not necessarily the child. Okay. But it says the baby shower originated in ancient Egypt to celebrate the miracle of a new life about to be born into this world. So Egypt is the centerpiece of the baby shower understanding. Okay. So that just proves that baby shower concept comes from Egypt. Leviticus chapter 18 verse 3. And this is going to prove according to the laws of Moses that we're not supposed to follow the doings and the customs of the Egyptian nation. Okay. Leviticus chapter 18 verse 3. It says, after the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whether I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. So you see this, Israel? So Yahweh says, of course, he's telling Moses, but Yahweh is speaking through Moses to tell to the children of Israel understanding. Okay, when Yahweh told Moses about his commandments. But according to the laws of Moses, we're not supposed to be doing the doings of the land of Egypt. It says, after the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. So the doings is going into customs or certain events that the Egyptian nations was doing in the land of Egypt. We're not supposed to follow the same practices as the Egyptians when we used to dwell, of course, in general as a nation of people in ancient Egypt. That's why Yahweh removed us from ancient Egypt. So Yahweh did not want us practicing the custom of the Egyptians when we got into the Holy Land, because the Holy Land, we supposed to be practicing Yahweh's commandments, not practicing Egyptology foolishness. Okay. And it says, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. So we wasn't even supposed to do and follow the customs of the Canaanites that was in the land of Canaan understanding before it became the land of Israel. So Yahweh did not want us to follow the black African nation, okay, the black Hamitic nation, but in modern day times it's going into the ancient African nation. But this is going into the Hamitic nation understanding, those black Africans understanding. Okay, Yahweh did not want us to follow the Africanism or the Pan-Africanism way, okay, or the Egyptology way. He did not want us to follow those nations understanding, okay, because it was wickedness. So after the doings of the land of Egypt, that's going into customs. The customs of the land of Egypt, the customs of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. So we're not supposed to do the customs of the Egyptian nation. And to prove that custom is going into to prove that the doings definition is going into like customs or events, we go to the definition. It said doings. Definition would be deeds, actions, or events. So the events that the Egyptians was doing was idolatry customs. Okay, in Egypt, Egyptians were doing idolatry customs that the Most High did not want the children of Israel to do. Okay, that's what we getting understanding of, Israel. So now we got the understanding that the children of Israel are not supposed to follow the custom of the Egyptians, right? So if the custom of the baby shower, right, started in Egypt, that means the children of Israel in today's time are not supposed to be following a custom associated with the Egyptians, which goes back to that baby shower understanding. Okay. So again, if our people are practicing baby showers, they are in the midst of sin, because Leviticus chapter 18 verse 3 said we're not supposed to do it. Okay. So again, we're not supposed to do the customs of the Egyptian, because the law of Moses tell us we're not supposed to follow the customs or the events or the deeds that go back to Egypt. Okay, so this is why we're not supposed to be doing baby showers. Okay, because baby showers go back to Egypt understanding, okay, as a custom. Okay, so now we go to this particular site right here. It's called thecollector.com. Okay, it's getting to the history of the Egyptian goddess named Isis understanding. Okay, we're just waiting for this particular page to load up. Okay, so it says, who is the Egyptian goddess Isis? Okay, and of course it gives like 7 facts about it. We're not gonna read all the facts about Isis. I'm just giving an understanding that the information I brought out on that PowerPoint slide is already mentioned theoretically. This is where I got this information from. Okay, and also there's other sources that can back those statements up that I mentioned on the PowerPoint slide too as well. Okay, Israel. So now we're gonna go on this article. Okay, on the thecollector.com understanding. Okay, so it says Isis name means queen of the throne. This is going to Isis being referred to as that goddess, being referred to as being the queen of the throne. That's why you see the similarities. Now you see the similarities of mother sitting on a throne-like status at the baby shower event, because it's all giving reverence to the understanding of the Isis being named the queen of the throne. Okay, and also you scroll down, it says Isis played different roles in Egyptian mythology. So as you can see, this is one of the figures, designs that the Egyptians had in Egypt as a form of worshiping or paying their respect to the goddess Isis. Okay, this is what the Egyptians used to do. Okay, also the Egyptians built many temples in her honor. So it says Egyptians built many temples in Isis' honor, or of course Isis' ancient Egyptian name would go back to Aset or Eset understanding. Okay, but this is what the Egyptians used to do. They used to form these big temples in form of worshiping Isis. Okay, same thing goes to the baby shower event, where they decorate the actual place that the baby shower is being conducted in the form of worshiping the mother. Okay, it is the same understanding that the Egyptians had when they was worshiping the goddess Isis. Okay, so the baby shower event is a form of worshiping the mothers, okay, who are the women in general. Also, it says is referring to Isis as being a mother goddess. Okay, so this is why the mothers at the baby shower are getting recognized as a form of worship or a particular status, okay, on the baby shower event, because all go back to the mother goddess Isis. Okay, as you can see, also the Egyptians depicted her as a beautiful woman. So again, the Isis character, of course, in general on the Egyptian wall came in different shades of brown understanding. Okay, and notice the Egyptian women have dresses on as far as their clothing attire when it was being referred to as women, because women knew that they were supposed to be dressing in modest apparel, even going back to the ancient Egyptian days. Okay, so also you got the understanding that the Egyptian goddess Isis might have influenced Christianity. Okay, so this is what this article is saying, because of course Isis' story, of course Isis was supposed to be a virgin that didn't have sex but still was able to birth a son named Horus. And then you have, of course, in the Christianity understanding, you're supposed to have the white Virgin Mary, who's supposed to birth the white Jesus understanding. And we know, of course, Christianity is not biblical, okay, because Christianity gets its principles or certain storylines from the Egyptians' understanding. Okay, so the Christianity gets their pagan practices or their idolatry practices from the Egyptian philosophy, okay, in which the Bible does not promote the Hebrew Israelites to follow the Egyptian way of life. Okay, the religions of the world culture go back to the Egyptians, okay, primarily. Okay, So now we got the understanding from this particular article from the collector.com, understanding where it's going into who is the Egyptian goddess Isis. Okay, so now we go to this next article that's on Egypt Today, understanding, and is basically being referred to as Egypt Today, and the article name is called El Sibo in the time of the ancient Egyptians, because again the ancient Egyptians referred to baby showers as being El Sibu. Okay, El Sibu, that's the ancient name of baby shower in ancient Egypt times. Okay, all referencing, of course, Isis, understanding. Okay, all referencing the Isis ancient Egyptian name Aset or Iset. Okay, that's why they have a stone figure right here. Okay, all commemorating the mother, understanding, going back to Isis, understanding. So we'll try to zoom in a little bit to get the purpose of this particular article right here. We're going to try to zoom in. Okay, we're going to try to zoom in a little bit to get more of the understanding. Okay. It says, on this article, it says, El Sibu, or the first week celebration of the child's birth, is a common tradition in Egyptian society, which, of course, we already pulled this understanding in that PowerPoint slide I did earlier. It says the tradition was inherited from the ancient Egyptians, as celebrating newborns first originated in their society. The reason behind choosing the 7th day has to do with their beliefs that the child begins to cultivate the sense of hearing on the 7th day after his or her birth. Okay, so we already brought this out on the PowerPoint slide on why the ancient Egyptians had a celebration as a tradition about newborns, okay, being first originated in their society based upon them choosing the 7th day based upon their beliefs that the child begins to cultivate the sense of hearing on the 7th day after his or her birth, or after the male child or the female child is born. Okay, this is the understanding that the ancient Egyptians had. Okay, we scroll down. Also, it says the Egyptians, okay, it says they thought that the child starts recognizing the sounds and voices around him or her on the 7th day after birth. So they created noise through beating on pots and singing loudly to strengthen the child's sense of hearing. So the Egyptian came up with a form of banging on pots and singing loudly to strengthen a baby's sense of hearing on the 7th day, understanding, after the child has already been born already. So they was like, hey, the child is going to be able to hear, right? So they were saying the child is going to hear more clearly on the 7th day of the week. So we're going to sing and bang pots to strengthen the hearing sense of the child, okay, which is kind of crazy to do, okay, because a child is naturally going to hear anyway, because Yahweh allowed a child to have ears for a reason to hear, not necessarily, oh, a child is going to hear only on the 7th day. This is foolishness from the Egyptians. Okay, the celebration begins with the child's mother and her friends taking 7 pots from which she had eaten from in the previous week to the Nile. The pots will be washed in the Nile, then filled with water. 7 drops of thick black eyeliner, it says coal, and 7 drops of henna would be added to them. So it's saying that the celebration, or the baby shower, or the El Sabu, it says the celebration begins with the child's mother and her friends taking 7 pots. So the women that was in the celebration of the mother being celebrated for the child being born, the women that was going to be partakers of this baby shower used to grab at least 7 pots. And of course, they used to fill these pots up with water from the Nile River. Okay, so then they take the water that was filled up in these particular pots that they filled up from the water of the Nile River. Now they used to take the water that's filled up in the Nile River with these pots. Now they used to take 7 drops of thick black eyeliner. They used to take the 7 drops of thick black eyeliner that is used to do eyeliner polish, right? They used to take the polish and put the polish product into the water pots. And they also used to take 7 drops of henna 7 drops of Henny would be added to them. So they used to take 7 drops of Henny. So they used to put Henny products inside the water filled up with pots. So they used to take the thick black eyeliner product and 7 drops of Henny products and put it in the water that was filled up with the pots. Okay? And they used to put it in the pots that was filled up with water. Okay? And mix it in. So what they'll do is take the products that was mixed into the water that had these pots. Then the mother would then sprinkle the water in the pots around the corners of the house to eject any evil souls. So now the women, or the mother in general, would take the pots that was filled up with water that they used to put these eyeliner products in, and also a product of Henny inside the pots, and they used to circle the house with these pots and pour it around the corners of the house to get rid of evil spirits. Okay, so this is actually a form of witchcraft, ladies and gentlemen. And also it goes back to idolatry customs that the other nations used to do. It says, after that, the mother would carry the child to the Nile, and its grandmother would wet his or her head. The grandmother would also throw the rest of the umbilical cord in the Nile River. That's what it's saying. So what's happening is the mother of the child would actually take the pots that was filled up with water that had those certain products inside the pot, and she used to pour the water that had the pots. She used to pour the pots that had the water inside the pots around the house to get rid of evil spirits. And then after that, the mother would carry the child to the Nile River. And because we know the Nile River is in Egypt. So the mother would take the child that was born already, and his grandmother will wet his or her head. So now they'll take the young child after they poured the water that was in the pots around the house to get rid of evil spirits. Then they will take the child that's already born already, and they will dip the child. The mother and the grandmother will take the child that's already born already to dip his head or her head inside the water. Okay? Like it's a form of baptism, of course, or something like that. The grandmother will also throw the rest of the umbilical cord in the Nile. So during this process, they will hold on to the child's umbilical cord that was already cut already from the mother. They will hold on to it all the way up to that 7 days understanding is complete. They will get rid of the umbilical cord that was attached to the child that was also attached to the mother. They will get rid of the cord on the 7th day understanding, after they somewhat did like a baptism by dipping the child's head into the water in the Nile River. Okay, after they got rid of the so-called evil spirits around their house. Okay, so this is an Egyptian custom that goes back to witchcraft. Okay, this is what they did in ancient times pertaining to the Egyptian custom. Okay, it says the child would then have a gold ring pierced into his or her ear. The ring was scarred and was called the Isis ring. You see this, Israel? The Isis ring. So again, baby showers go back to idolatry. So after the baby was baptized in the water as a form of cleansing, or showing a sign of protection from evil spirits, right? The women who are the mothers, and also the grandmothers and all the other women that partook in the baby shower, used to now do a formation of piercing the male baby or the female baby's ears with a earring pertaining to the goddess Isis. That's what it said. The child would then have a gold ring pierced into his or her ear. The ring was scarred and was called the Isis ring. You see this, Israel? So the ring was designed to mimic the being of an Isis character, which goes back into that female goddess deity. Okay? So again, this is what the baby shower was given homage to. It says, following, the ancient Egyptians would pray to the gods to protect and praise the child. The first order directed to the child during the celebration is to obey the gods. Whoa, wait a minute. You see this, Israel? You see this, Israel? So this, I'm not going to read no more of this part, but this is the key. It says, following, the ancient Egyptians would pray to the gods to protect and praise the child. So the ancient Egyptians was praying to those idol gods of the Egyptians, and also primarily Isis, that idol god that's associated to Isis, okay, which goes into that mother goddess understanding, which is idolatry, okay. So it says the first order directed to the child during the celebration is to obey the gods. So it was a commandment that was given to the children that was in Egypt from the Egyptians to give to the children that was born in the celebration of this baby shower event, to now for this child to pray to the gods of the Egyptians. Okay, Israel. So again, baby showers go back to Egypt philosophy, which goes back to idolatry. Okay, this is what the ancient Egyptians was doing, praying to their idol gods, and primarily they was praying to their idol god Isis. Okay, so to get the understanding what those products that was used to be put in the water in that pot, right, we're going to go into it. It says 7 drops of thick black eyeliner, which is going to coal. So we got to get what this coal thing was that was put in these pots filled up with water that the Egyptians used to do. Okay, the Egyptians used to do this thing. So it says coal, which goes into the eyeliner. Okay, when it goes to the eyeliner, it's talking about that charcoal substance, okay, that goes associated with eyeliner understanding. Traditionally made by grinding stibnite for the use of similar to that of charcoal in mascara. Okay, so again, it's like a mascara or a certain eyeliner, you know, used to cover the eyes. The ancient Egyptians used to use a lot of eyeliner when they used to paint their faces. Okay. But initially it starts off like a charcoal substance or a powder substance. Okay, coal powder. It starts off as a powder substance before it can become like a liquid substance. Okay, so this is what the mothers was putting inside the pots filled up with water. As you can see, 7 drops of thick black eyeliner, and it says coal. So the coal is going to that charcoal powder substance, okay, that they used to put in this pot filled up with water. And it says, and 7 drops of henna would be added to them. So the henna was basically like a dye type of color, like a dye that changed like a coloring of somebody's hair. So henna says henna. This is on Wikipedia. It says henna is a dye prepared from the plant Lawsonia ernemus, also known as the henna tree. Okay, and it says the Meganeti tree and the Egyptian privet. Okay, so we're not going to read the rest of that, but it goes back to Egypt understanding. And as you can see, the dye products change the color of a man's beard to be a different color. Okay, as you can see in this picture right here. It says an elderly Bengali man with a beard dyed in henna. So henna is a dye product that changed the coloring understanding of some particular body's hair. Okay, so this is what products that the Egyptian mothers and also her friends used to put into these pots filled up with water to now pour these products that's inside this water around the particular house to get rid of evil spirits, basically. So this is a philosophy that's going off as hell. You know what I'm saying? We're not supposed to be doing this ritual at all. Baby showers is wickedness, man, as you can see. So that's what the understanding is getting into. So this is what those pots was used for, to get rid of unclean spirits, supposedly. Okay, this is what the ancient Egyptians used to do. Okay, so now we go to Galatians chapter 5 verse 19. Okay, this is in the New Testament where Apostle Paul is speaking to our people, being referred to as the Galatians. Okay, Galatians chapter 5 verse 19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, and it says lasciviousness. Okay, so this is going into the works of the flesh. The works of the flesh is going into the works of sin. Okay, another word for flesh in this context would be sin. Okay, so Apostle Paul is listing sinful deeds, okay, that the children of Israel are not supposed to do. And if you are found doing these things, this is your judgment ultimately. Galatians chapter 5 verse 20. Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, immolations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies. So the main concept of this understanding is going into idolatry and witchcraft, because baby showers is going into idolatry and witchcraft, because we just found out that the baby showers analogy, which original word was going back to El Cibo, which goes back into that tradition where those mothers or the mother friends or family members used to fill those pots with water to put those certain products of eyeliner and the certain products of henna, which goes back into those dye products, inside this pot, to now pour this water with those products in around the house to get rid of unclean spirits. This is a form of witchcraft understanding. Okay, so baby showers is associated to witchcraft and also idolatry, because it's a formation of praying to the Egyptian gods understanding, and also it puts the mothers as a god-like position, similar to the goddess of Isis that was primary worship during these baby shower events in ancient Egypt. Okay, they just changed the name and changed the game. Okay, but it's all going back to idolatry customs with these baby shower events. Okay, it says Galatians chapter 5 verse 21. It says, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Elohim. Whoa, wait a minute. You see this, Israel? So again, those individuals that are practicing these things continuously without repenting, they shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High. That's what Apostle Paul is saying, because many of our brothers and sisters have partook in these things that we see on this particular list right here. But we have to show now a sign of basically repentance, right? We have to show a sign of repentance of these evil deeds so we can get the kingdom of heaven that's going to be established on earth under Christ, the Black Messiah's reign. But again, baby showers go back to idolatry and witchcraft understanding. And also it go back to, of course, a form of what? Fornication, spiritual sin. Okay? Because we're not supposed to be worshiping idols, period. Okay? It said that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High. So if you're doing baby showers, right? If you're doing anything that's paying homage to those idol gods associated going back to the ancient Egyptians, you're not going to inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Point blank, period. And this is why I'm doing this lesson, Israel. We have to come out of the ways of following the customs of these nations. Primarily, of course, in general, the ancient Egyptians. Because the Most High redeemed us from the hand of the Egyptians to not follow their ways. Okay? So we have to come out of the ways of the world, Israel. Okay? 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 14 is going to prove that we're supposed to come out of the ways of idolatry. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 14. Wherefore, my dearly beloved, flee from idolatry. You see this, Israel? We're supposed to flee from idolatry. We're not supposed to still be practicing idolatry customs. Okay? Because the religions of this world is idolatry customs. So again, the baby shower custom, right? They go back to the ancient Egyptians, go back to idolatry customs. Okay? We just saw the history of it. Okay? We just saw the history of that custom of the ancient Egyptians praying to the idol gods after they did the baby shower celebration, right? On this particular article, where it says, following the ancient Egyptians would pray to the gods to protect and praise the child. The first order directed to the child during the celebration, talking about during the baby shower celebration, is to obey the gods. The gods that it's talking about that the ancient Egyptians would pray to was those idol gods pertaining to the ancient Egyptians. Okay, it was not pertaining to the Most High Yah. It was pertaining to the ancient gods of the Egyptians. Okay, and primarily the ancient god of the Egyptians that was the focus was Isis. Okay, or the deity being referred to as Aset or Eset in the ancient name understanding. It says, the child would then have a gold ring pierced into his or her ear. The ring was scarred and was called the Isis ring. That's why they associated that Isis ring to be attached to the child's ear, whether it was a male or female, okay? Giving reverence to the goddess of Isis, understanding, okay? So again, Israel, we're not supposed to do that, Israel. So again, in modern day times, of course, they are still doing the custom of the El Cebu, but of course we have the Arab nation over there. They're practicing the custom called the Cebu. Okay, versus saying El Cebu, they go by the Cebu. Okay, which is the Arabic terminology understanding. But they're practicing still to this day that particular custom. Okay, they still practicing that particular custom associated with worshiping the goddess pertaining to Isis understanding. Okay, and this is why I did this lesson, Israel, to show the similarities. So the Arabic nation, they're practicing the same custom that the ancient Egyptians was practicing, called the El Cebu. Okay, that's why I broke it down. This is the ancient name for baby showers with the ancient Egyptians, but the modern day term now that the Arab nation are using in Egypt is going back to what? The Cebu. Okay, you can look this up on Google. Okay, this is a custom that's still being practiced till this day. Okay, in Egypt to this day, pertaining to the worshiping of the idol gods. Okay, so Israel, this is why I did this lesson, Israel, to show that baby showers, you know, goes back to idolatry. So celebrating baby showers, Israel, is idolatry. So we brought out the history, we brought out the scenarios of somewhat like a temple being set up, as far as the design and getting the decorations made for these particular mothers who's about to have a child to be celebrated. Okay, so this is all idolatry practices that the ancient Egyptians did for the goddess Isis when they formed temples to worship the goddess Isis. Okay, in modern day times, they're doing it for these particular women, okay, that you see. They all go back to the worshiping of mothers in place of Isis understanding. Okay, we brought out the history, okay, on this understanding. And okay, hopefully you Hebrew women and also the men, hopefully going forward, you now know that baby showers is a form of worshiping the mothers in place of Isis. And also now you know that the mothers and the women should not be worshipped, period, because the Most High Yah should be worshipped. Okay, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob should be worshipped by what? Keeping his commandments, not worried about some ancient Egyptian custom. This baby shower, understand, has nothing to do with the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, as you can see. Okay, Israel, so hopefully you enjoyed this video on Kingdom Builders of Israel LLC YouTube channel. And stay tuned for more videos on this particular channel, Israel, on Kingdom Builders of Israel LLC. Now, going forward, you Hebrew women, you now know that celebrating baby showers is a form of idolatry practice. And we read the judgment on those that's practicing idolatry customs and also witchcraft customs. They shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High, which is going into they shall not inherit the kingdom of the Black Messiah's reign on earth. Okay, they should not inherit that understanding. Okay, because it's all wickedness and idolatry, and Yahweh does not want his children, who are the children of Israel, to be worshiping idols. Okay, so other than that, Israel, hopefully you enjoyed this lesson on Kingdom Builders of Israel LLC YouTube channel. Stay tuned for more lessons on this channel, Israel. Other than that, Israel, shalom.